The morning sun cast long shadows across the crystal mines of Kepler 442b. Dae-ho Kim wiped sweat from his forehead as he checked the drilling equipment. The purple crystals they mined here powered half the galaxy's ships, and the work was hard but honest. His family had a good life on this distant world. "Dad, look what I found." 8-year-old Tae-jin ran up holding a small, perfectly clear crystal. His twin sister Hee-won followed close behind, her school bag bouncing on her shoulder. "That's beautiful, son." Dae-ho smiled, ruffling the boy's black hair. "But you know the rules. All crystals go to the company." "I know," Tae-jin grinned. "I just wanted to show you first." Bo-ra called from their small house nearby. "Children, come eat breakfast." "You'll be late for school." Hee-won grabbed her brother's hand. "Come on, slowpoke." They raced toward the house, their laughter echoing across the mining site. Dae-ho watched them go, his heart full of love. Life was simple here. The alien government left them alone as long as they met their mining quotas. The Galactic Commerce Union had made a fair deal with Earth. Humans could settle on mining worlds and keep half of what they produced. Other human families were starting their day too. Across the valley, smoke rose from dozens of small houses. Children walked to the little school they had built. Adults prepared for another day in the mines. It was peaceful. That peace shattered at exactly 9:47 in the morning. The sky turned black as massive ships blocked out the sun. These weren't the usual transport ships that came for the crystals. These were warships, dark and threatening, with strange symbols painted on their hulls. Dae-ho's radio crackled to life. "All humans, this is Colony Administrator Wong. Stay in your homes. Unknown ships are approaching." This is not a drill. But Dae-ho couldn't stay inside. His children were at school. Bora was already running toward the building where 37 human children learned their lessons each day. The alien ships landed with a sound like thunder. Ramps dropped open and creatures in silver armor poured out. They were tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. Weapons gleamed in their hands. "Attention, human settlement," a cold voice spoke from speakers on the ships. "By order of the Velthari Empire, all juvenile humans will be detained for genetic evaluation." Do not resist. Dae-ho's blood turned to ice. "No," he whispered. Then louder, "No!" He ran toward the school, his mining tool still in his hands. Other parents were running too, screaming their children's names. But the aliens were faster. Silver-armored soldiers surrounded the school building. Their leader, a tall creature with red markings on his armor, spoke into a device. "Commander Yithal to Fleet Command. Beginning collection of specimens." "They're not specimens," Bora screamed, trying to push past an alien guard. "They're our children." The guard raised his weapon, a rod that hummed with energy. Blue light shot out and Bora collapsed, her body twitching from the shock. "Bora!" Dae-ho reached her just as more aliens surrounded him. Inside the school, the children huddled together in fear. Mrs. Park, their teacher, stood in front of them with her arms spread wide. "You can't take them," she said, her voice shaking but determined. "Move aside, human," the red-marked commander said. "These juveniles carry genetic markers that threaten galactic stability. They must be studied." "Studied?" Mrs. Park's eyes went wide with horror. "They're just children." Tae-jin grabbed his sister's hand. "What do they want with us?" he whispered. "I don't know," Hee-won whispered back. "But I'm scared." The alien commander nodded to his soldiers. They pushed Mrs. Park aside and began pulling the children from their hiding places. The little ones cried. The older ones tried to fight, but they were just children against armed aliens. Outside, more parents tried to reach the school. The aliens stunned them one by one. Dae-ho watched his neighbors fall, their bodies convulsing from the energy weapons. He clutched Bora's unconscious form and felt rage building in his chest like nothing he had ever experienced. "Please," he called to the red-marked commander. "They're innocent. Take me instead. Take all of us adults, but leave the children alone." The commander looked at him with those large black eyes. "Adult humans are not the concern. Only the juveniles carry the dangerous genetic sequences. They will be contained safely until we determine the level of threat they represent." "Threat?" Dae-ho couldn't believe what he was hearing. "My son collects pretty rocks. My daughter draws pictures of flowers. What threat could they possibly be?" "That is what we will discover," the commander said coldly. The aliens brought out strange metal containers, each the size of a small bed. They began placing the terrified children inside. The containers sealed with a hiss and small windows showed the children's frightened faces inside. Taijin pounded on the walls of his container. Dad, help me. Let them go. Daeho tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't work properly. The aliens had stunned him too, though not as badly as the others. Please, they're just babies. But the aliens didn't listen. They loaded all 47 human children from the colony into the metal containers. The containers floated up into the dark ships on beams of light. Haiwan pressed her face against the window of her container. She could see her father on the ground reaching toward her. I love you, Dad, she called, though she didn't know if he could hear her. As the ships prepared to leave, Daeho managed to crawl to his emergency radio. His hands shook as he activated the deep space transmitter. Every human colony had one for emergencies. This is Kepler 442b mining colony, he gasped into the device. Alien attack. They took our children. All of them. Ships. Vilthari markings, please. Someone help us. They took our babies. The ships rose into the sky, carrying away everything that mattered. Daeho collapsed next to the radio, watching the dark shapes disappear among the stars. Around him, other parents were waking up, calling for their children. But the children were gone. And across human space, Daeho's desperate message began to spread from world to world, from ship to ship, carried by the quantum communication network that connected all human settlements. The message was simple, but it would change everything. They took our children. Taijin woke up in a room made of white metal. Everything was white, the walls, the floor, even the strange bed he lay on. A blue light glowed from the ceiling, making everything look cold and scary. Haiwan? He called softly. His voice echoed in the empty room. No answer came back. He got up and walked to the wall. Where a door should be, there was only a barrier made of crackling energy. When he reached toward it, it sparked and hurt his fingers. Don't touch that, a voice said from somewhere above him. It will burn you. Taijin looked up but saw only a small grate in the ceiling. Who's there? My name is Dongwu. I'm in the room above you. Are you from the new group? New group? The kids they just brought in. From the mining colony. Taijin felt his heart beating fast. Yes, my name is Taijin. My sister Haiwan was with me. Do you know where she is? I've been here for 4 months, Dongwu said sadly. They keep boys and girls in different parts of this place, but sometimes we can talk through the air vents. 4 months? Taijin sat down hard on the strange bed. How long are they going to keep us here? I don't know, but I think they're scared of something. Before Taijin could ask what he meant, footsteps echoed in the hallway outside, heavy boots walking in perfect rhythm. The energy barrier in his doorway flickered and disappeared. A tall alien in a white coat stood there. Behind him were 2 guards in silver armor. The alien in the white coat had the same gray skin and black eyes as the others, but his face looked older and more tired. Subject 847, the alien said, looking at a device in his hand. You are to come for evaluation. My name is Taijin, the boy said, trying to sound brave like his father had taught him. You are subject 847, the alien repeated. I am Dr. Kexval. You will come with me now. The guards moved forward when Taijin didn't move. He realized he had no choice and followed them into a long white hallway. Doors lined both sides, and behind each energy barrier he could see other children. Some were crying. Others stared at the walls with empty eyes. Min Ho, one of the children called when he saw Taijin. It was a boy from his school. Are you okay? The guards pushed Taijin forward before he could answer. They led him to a room filled with strange machines. Dr. Kexval pointed to a chair that looked like something from a dentist's office, but with wires and sensors attached. Sit, Dr. Kexval ordered. Taijin climbed into the chair. The alien attached small metal discs to his forehead and arms. The machines began to hum and beep. Tell me about your parents, Dr. Kexval said, watching numbers on a screen. My mom and dad love me very much, Taijin said. They're probably looking for me right now. The alien's large eyes studied the screen more carefully. What do you think they will do when they find you? They'll take me home, Taijin said without hesitation. And if someone tried to stop them? Taijin thought about this. He remembered his father's face when bullies had picked on Haiwan at school once. Dad would be very angry. He protects us. The machines beeped faster. Dr. Kexval made notes on his device. How angry? Really, really angry. Dad says families stick together no matter what. More beeping. Dr. Kexval looked worried about something. Meanwhile, in another part of the prison, Haiwan was having her own evaluation. She sat in an identical chair with the same machines attached to her. "Do you miss your family?" the alien doctor asked her. "Every second," HFY said, tears running down her face. "Why won't you let us go home?" "Answer the questions," the alien said. "What would your parents do to get you back?" "Anything," HFY said immediately. "They would do anything. Even fight." "Even die," she whispered. The alien made more notes. Later, when the children were back in their cells, Dongwu's voice came through the air vent again. "Tae-jin, are you there?" "I'm here. They asked me weird questions about my parents." "They always ask about parents," Dongwu said. "I think they're trying to understand something about humans." "Something that scares them? What do you mean?" "Listen carefully," Dongwu said. "I learned some of their language while I've been here. The guards talk when they think we can't understand. They keep saying something about the rage protocol and parental override response. I don't understand. I think they took us to study how our parents would react. But something is going wrong with their plan." That night, Tae-jin lay on his cold bed and listened. Through the walls, he could hear other children crying or talking quietly to each other through the vents. But he also heard something else. The guards talking in their strange alien language. Even though he couldn't understand the words, he could hear fear in their voices. 3 days later, Commander Yithal walked through the prison with Dr. Keksaval. The commander's red armor markings seemed brighter than before, and he moved with quick, nervous steps. "What have you learned from the specimens?" Commander Yithal asked. "Something unexpected," Dr. Keksaval replied, his voice troubled. "The emotional responses are far stronger than our models predicted." "And there's something else. What?" "The brain scans show unusual patterns when they think about their parents. It's almost like they're connected somehow. All of them." Commander Yithal stopped walking. "Connected how?" "I'm not sure. But every time one child becomes distressed, the others show similar brain activity. It's as if they share some kind of signal." The commander's large eyes grew even larger. "Are you saying they can communicate telepathically?" "No, not telepathy. It's something else. Something biological." Commander Yithal activated his communication device. "Get me Admiral Keksaval immediately." While they waited for the connection, HFY pressed her face against the energy barrier of her cell. She had been listening too, and even though she didn't understand all the words, she understood that the aliens were afraid. "Dongwu," she whispered toward the ceiling vent. "Can you hear me?" "I'm here," came the reply from several rooms away. "I think something is happening. Something big." "I know," Dongwu whispered back. "The guards are getting more and more nervous every day. Yesterday I heard one of them say something about human fleet movements and unprecedented mobilization." "What does that mean?" "I think," Dongwu said slowly, "I think our parents are coming for us." Throughout the prison, other conversations were happening through the air vents. 47 children from dozens of different families, all sharing the same hope and the same certainty. Their parents would come. The aliens could study them and run their tests and ask their questions. But one thing would never change. Human parents did not abandon their children. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, that truth was about to reshape the galaxy. Director Hana Choi sat in her office on Earth, staring at the emergency message that had just arrived. The words glowed on her screen like a wound. "Alien attack. They took our children. All of them." She had been director of the Human Defense Coalition for 12 years. She had handled pirate attacks, trade disputes, and border conflicts, but nothing had prepared her for this. Her communication device buzzed constantly. Reports were coming in from across human space. The message from Kepler 442b had spread through the quantum network faster than anything she had ever seen. Every human colony, every ship, every station had received it within hours. "Ma'am," her assistant knocked on the door. "The emergency council is ready." Hana walked into the conference room where holographic images of military commanders and colony leaders filled the air. Their faces all showed the same expression, a cold, focused anger that she had never seen before. "Report," she said simply. General Kim spoke first. 47 children taken from Kepler 442b by Velthari forces. No demands made. No explanation given except claims about genetic evaluation. Our response? Hana asked. "That's where things get interesting," Admiral Park said, his hologram flickering slightly. "We haven't issued any official response yet. But the fleet is mobilizing anyway." "What do you mean?" "Ship captains are requesting immediate deployment without waiting for orders. Civilian vessels are being converted to warships. Colonists are demanding transport to the nearest military bases. It's happening everywhere at once. Colonel Lee's image leaned forward. Ma'am, something is changing in our people. The psychological profiles are showing patterns we've never recorded before. Explain. Increased coordination between units. Enhanced tactical thinking. Physical capabilities testing higher than normal. It's like the entire human military has shifted into a different mode of operation. Hana felt a chill run down her spine. Are you saying the kidnapping of these children has triggered some kind of biological response? That's exactly what I'm saying, Colonel Lee replied. Our xenobiologists think it might be an evolutionary adaptation. When human offspring are threatened, the entire community responds as one. On the military station orbiting Mars, Captain Minseo Park stood on the bridge of her destroyer Righteous Fury. She had served in the fleet for 15 years, but today felt different. Every order came faster. Every decision seemed clearer. Her crew moved with precision they had never shown before. Captain, her tactical officer reported, long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements throughout human space. Ships are converging from every sector. Converging where? All vectors point toward Velthari territory. Minseo felt something stirring in her chest. It wasn't anger exactly. It was something deeper, older, more primitive. The image of children locked in alien cages filled her mind, and suddenly every tactical manual she had ever studied seemed inadequate. Ma'am, her communications officer called out, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Chen. Put it through. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen. His usual calm demeanor was gone, replaced by something that looked like controlled fury. Captain Park, you are to proceed immediately to Sector 7 and await further instructions. We are assembling a response force. How large a force, sir? Every ship we have, Admiral Chen said simply. And apparently every ship we don't have, too. Civilian vessels are requesting military escorts to join the fleet. Mining ships, cargo haulers, even passenger liners are demanding to be armed. Sir, what are our rules of engagement? Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment. Retrieve the children, Captain. Whatever it takes. The transmission ended and Minseo turned to her crew. She saw the same expression on every face. Determination mixed with something primal and unstoppable. Helm, set course for Sector 7. Maximum speed. Aye, Captain. Maximum speed. Back on Earth, Dr. Sungmin worked frantically in his laboratory. As the Coalition's leading expert on human biology, he had been asked to explain what was happening to their species. It's remarkable, he told Director Choi over the communication link. Brain scans from across the colonies are showing synchronized activity patterns. Humans who have never met are displaying identical neural responses. Is it dangerous? Not to us, but... Dr. Sungmin paused, studying his data. Director, I've been comparing this to similar patterns in Earth's animal kingdom. Pack hunters, protective parents, herd animals defending their young. And, when this response activates in nature, it doesn't stop until the threat is eliminated, completely. Director Choi felt her blood run cold. Are you saying humans might not be able to control this response? I'm saying this might be bigger than just military action. This could be an entire species entering a protective state. And species in that state don't negotiate. They don't compromise. They fight until the threat is gone. On a transport ship heading toward Velthari space, Daeho Kim stood with 200 other parents. None of them had military training. They were miners, farmers, engineers, teachers, but they had all found ways to get aboard ships heading toward their children. How did you get here? Asked the woman next to him. Her name was So Young, and her daughter had been taken from the agricultural colony on Proxima 7. I sold everything I owned to buy passage, Daeho said. My house, my equipment, everything. What about you? The same. My husband wanted to come too, but someone had to stay and take care of our other children. So Young's hands shook as she spoke. Do you think we'll really find them? Daeho thought about his last sight of Taejin and Hyewan's faces through the windows of those alien containers. We'll find them, he said with absolute certainty. And when we do, those aliens will wish they had never heard of human children. The ship's captain, a grizzled former military officer named Tai Hyun, came over the intercom. Attention passengers. We've just received word that the main fleet is assembling ahead of us. 300 warships and counting. A cheer went up from the passengers, but Captain Taehyun wasn't finished. I've also received a message from Velthari space. Their government is demanding that we turn back immediately. They say we're violating their territory. The cheering stopped. My response was simple. Captain Taehyun continued. Give us back our children and we'll consider it. This time the cheering was louder and lasted longer. Meanwhile, on distant monitoring stations throughout the galaxy, alien species watched the human mobilization with growing alarm. The Velthari had made a terrible mistake, but the consequences were spreading far beyond their borders. Ambassador Veltar of the Galactic Commerce Union called an emergency session. Representatives from dozens of species gathered virtually to discuss the crisis. The humans are mobilizing their entire fleet, Ambassador Veltar announced. Our projections show they will reach Velthari space within days. Surely this can be negotiated, suggested the Zephyrian delegate. It's just a diplomatic incident. You don't understand, replied the ancient Korthax representative. I've seen this before. Millennia ago, my people encountered a species that had this same protective response. They called it the Parent War. An entire civilization was destroyed because they threatened the young of another species. The virtual meeting fell silent. Are you saying the humans are going to destroy the Velthari? Ambassador Veltar asked. I'm saying, the Korthax replied, that unless those children are returned immediately, the humans won't stop until they've eliminated every possible threat to their offspring. And right now that means the entire Velthari Empire. The meeting ended in chaos as representatives rushed to contact their governments, and in the vast darkness of space, human ships continued to gather like a storm that would soon break. Across the galaxy with the fury of 10 billion protective parents, the children were coming home. The only question was what would be left of their captors when they arrived. Admiral Kexaval stood in the command center of the Velthari home fleet, watching displays that showed human ships gathering at the edge of their territory. The numbers made no sense. According to their intelligence, humans had maybe 100 military vessels total, but the sensors showed over 500 ships approaching. Sir, his aide reported nervously, we're detecting more ships arriving every hour. They're not all military vessels. Many appear to be converted civilian craft. Converted how? Mining equipment turned into weapons. Cargo haulers with military shields. Even passenger ships mounting gun batteries. The aide's voice shook. Sir, it looks like their entire civilian population is joining the military response. Admiral Kexval felt his 3 hearts beating faster. He had studied human conflicts for decades as part of his training. Humans fought each other regularly over resources, territory, and ideology. But this was different. This was unified. Get me Dr. Kexaval at the research facility immediately. The connection took several minutes to establish. When Dr. Kexval's image finally appeared, he looked exhausted and frightened. Uncle, the doctor said, using the family term despite the formal setting. You need to release the human specimens immediately. Explain. We've been monitoring human communication networks. This isn't a military response. This is a species-wide biological reaction. Every human settlement is sending ships. Every human colony is emptying its defense forces. They're all coming here. Admiral Kexaval studied the tactical displays again. How is that possible? They don't have central command authority over civilian populations. That's just it, Dr. Kexaval said urgently. They don't need command authority. It's biological. When human offspring are threatened, the entire species responds automatically. It's like a beehive defending against a threat to the queen. But they're just children. 47 juveniles out of billions of humans, it doesn't matter how many. The response is triggered by the threat itself, not the scale. Dr. Kexval pulled up biological charts. Uncle, I've been studying their brain patterns. When humans think about threats to children, any children, their neural activity spikes in areas associated with survival responses. But it's not individual survival. It's species survival. On the prison station of Thylos Prime, Commander Yethal received the transmission from Admiral Kexval with growing horror. You're ordering me to release the specimens? I'm ordering you to return the human children immediately, Admiral Kexval replied. And then evacuate that facility. Sir, the research isn't complete. We still don't understand the full extent of their genetic capabilities. Commander, we have 500 human ships heading our way, more arriving every hour, and our intelligence suggests they're coordinating in ways we've never seen before. The research is over. Commander Yethal looked around the prison facility. The human children were still in their cells, still being studied. Some cried constantly. Others stared at the walls with empty eyes. A few like Dongwu had maintained their spirits and continued talking to the other children through the air vents. "What about our defensive positions?" Commander Yethal asked. "Defensive positions?" Admiral Kexaval's laugh was bitter. "Commander, our best intelligence suggests that humans in this state don't take prisoners. They don't negotiate. They eliminate threats. Our only hope is to return their offspring and hope they show mercy. And if they don't show mercy, then the Velthari Empire ends today." In his cell, Dongwu listened to the guards talking outside. He had learned enough of their language to understand pieces of conversations. Today the guards sounded different. They sounded scared. "Taejin," he whispered toward the air vent. "Can you hear me?" "I'm here," came the reply from 2 cells away. "I think something big is happening. The guards keep talking about human ships and evacuation procedures. Do you think our parents are really coming?" "I think," Dongwu said carefully, "I think everyone's parents are coming." In the cell block housing the girls, Hyawan pressed her face against the energy barrier. She had noticed that the number of guards had doubled in the past day. They moved in quick, nervous groups and checked their weapons constantly. "Attention all human specimens," Dr. Kexval's voice came over the prison speakers. "You will be prepared for transport within the hour." Hyewan felt her heart jump. "Transport where?" she called out. But no answer came. Instead, guards began moving through the cell blocks, deactivating the energy barriers and placing restraints on the children. But the restraints were different this time. Softer, less painful. Almost like they were trying to be gentle. "What's happening?" little Minjai asked as guards led him from his cell. He was only 6 years old and had cried every day since being taken. "I think we're going home," Hyewan told him, though she wasn't sure if she believed it herself. As the children were gathered in the main corridor, Commander Yethal addressed them directly for the first time. "Human juveniles," he said, his voice stiff and formal. "You are being transferred to alternative facilities. Where are our parents?" Taejin demanded, his young voice carrying across the corridor. Commander Yethal's large black eyes studied the boy for a long moment. "Your parents are en route, all of them?" Hyewan asked. "Yes," Commander Yethal said quietly. "All of them." The children were led to the same transport bay where they had first arrived. But instead of the metal containers, there were comfortable seats and windows. Through the windows, they could see something that made their hearts race. Ships. Hundreds and hundreds of ships, stretching across the starfield like a river of lights. "Those are human ships," Dongwu whispered in amazement. "How many humans are there?" asked Sujin. A girl from the agricultural colony. Commander Yethal overheard the question. "More than we calculated," he said grimly. On the bridge of the approaching human fleet, Captain Minseo Park studied the alien prison station through her tactical display. It was heavily defended with weapon platforms and shield generators that could hold off a normal attack for weeks. But this wasn't a normal attack. "Captain," her tactical officer reported, "we have positive confirmation. The children are aboard that station. All of them. Sensors indicate 47 human life signs in the central structure." Minseo felt that strange clarity wash over her again. Every decision seemed obvious. Every tactical choice was crystal clear. It was as if some ancient part of her brain had taken control, and that part knew exactly what to do. "Signal the fleet," she ordered. "We don't negotiate. We don't demand surrender. We retrieve the children." "Ma'am, what about the station's defenses?" Minseo looked at the tactical display showing the alien weapons pointed at her fleet. Then she looked at the display showing 47 small dots representing human children. "What defenses?" she asked. The battle began 3 minutes later. And it was no battle at all. The human fleet moved with coordination that defied every military manual. Ships that had never worked together operated like a single organism. Civilian vessels with improvised weapons fought alongside military destroyers with seamless precision. The alien defenses, designed to stop conventional attacks, crumbled within minutes against tactics that seemed to anticipate every defensive move. On the prison station, Commander Yethal watched his weapons platforms explode one by one. "This is impossible," he muttered. "They're using civilian ships as if they were trained military units." "Sir," his aide reported. "Incoming transmission from the human fleet. Put it through." Captain Minseo Park's face appeared on the screen. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held something that made Commander Yethal step backward involuntarily. "Commander," she said simply, We're here for our children. They are unharmed, Commander Yethal said quickly. We are prepared to transfer them immediately. Good, you have 10 minutes. 10 minutes for what? Captain Park's smile was not reassuring. To get off that station before we dismantle it. The transmission ended. Commander Yethal looked around his command center at the faces of his crew. They all showed the same expression, the sudden understanding that they had made a terrible, terrible mistake. Begin evacuation procedures, he ordered. All personnel to escape pods. Immediately. As alarms wailed throughout the station, the human children were loaded onto the fastest transport ship available. Through the windows, they watched human ships surrounding the station like protective parents gathering around threatened young. Dad, Tae-jin whispered, pressing his face against the glass. Dad, is that you? And somewhere in that vast fleet of ships, Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of a converted mining vessel, watching his children's transport approach. The children were coming home, and the galaxy would never underestimate human parents again. The docking bay of Captain Min-seo Park's destroyer had never been designed to handle civilians. But today, it filled with parents who had traveled across the galaxy to reach this moment. When the alien transport ship landed with a soft hiss, the silence was complete. The transport doors opened. Tae-jin stepped out first, blinking in the bright lights. His eyes searched the crowd until he saw a familiar figure pushing through the mass of people. Dad, Dae-ho Kim ran forward and swept his son into his arms. Behind Tae-jin, Hee-won emerged and threw herself at her father. The family held each other and cried, not caring who was watching. All around them, other reunions were happening. 47 children finding their parents in a scene that should have been joyful. But something was wrong. The adults' faces showed relief, yes. But underneath the relief was something else. Something cold and determined. Are you hurt? Tae-ho asked, running his hands over his children's faces and arms, checking for injuries. We're okay, Dad, Hee-won said. They didn't hurt us. But they were scared. Really scared. They should be, Dae-ho said quietly. Captain Park approached the group of families. I know you want to get home, she said. But I need to know, did any other children get taken? Are there other human prisoners? Dong-woo, still holding his mother's hand, stepped forward. They kept asking us about our genetics. And they mentioned other facilities. Other groups of children? The temperature in the docking bay seemed to drop 10 degrees. Other facilities? Captain Park asked, her voice carefully controlled. Dr. Keksaval said something about long-term studies. He mentioned installations in 3 different sectors. Captain Park activated her communication device. Command, this is Captain Park. We need to broaden our search parameters. There may be additional human children in Velthari custody. Director Hana Choi's voice came back immediately. How many additional? Unknown. Potentially dozens. Maybe more. The pause that followed was longer than usual. When Director Choi spoke again, her voice carried a weight that made everyone in the docking bay pay attention. Captain Park, you are authorized to use any means necessary to locate and retrieve all human children. The fleet is at your disposal. Understood, ma'am. But before Captain Park could give new orders, another voice broke into the communication channel. It was an alien voice speaking accented but clear English. Human fleet. This is Ambassador Veltar of the Galactic Commerce Union. I request immediate communication with your commander. Director Choi's image appeared on the main display screen in the docking bay. Behind her, the faces of the Human Defense Coalition Council were visible. This is Director Hana Choi. What do you want, Ambassador? Ambassador Veltar's image flickered onto an adjacent screen. The alien looked exhausted and desperate. Director Choi, I am calling to arrange the immediate cessation of hostilities and the return of all human juveniles in Velthari custody. All of them? Director Choi's voice was dangerously quiet. Yes. We have located 17 additional facilities holding human children. The total number is significant. How significant? 432 children, taken over the past 2 years from various human settlements. The silence that followed was not the absence of sound. It was the presence of fury so complete that even breathing seemed too loud. Dae-ho felt his children press closer to him. Around the docking bay, other parents held their children tighter. But their faces showed the same expression he felt building in his own chest. 2 years, Director Choi said finally. You've been stealing our children for 2 years. The Velthari Empire acted without authorization from the Union, Ambassador Veltar said quickly. We are prepared to return all human juveniles immediately and provide compensation. Compensation? The word came from everywhere at once. From Director Choi on the screen, from Captain Park standing nearby, from every parent in the docking bay, from the crew members listening on communication channels throughout the fleet. Ambassador, Director Choi said, her voice now completely calm. Let me explain something about human biology that your scientists apparently missed. Please. Director, when you threaten our children, you don't trigger a military response. You trigger an evolutionary one. And evolution doesn't negotiate. Ambassador Veltar's image showed growing panic. Director, please be reasonable. The Union can mediate. The Union knew, Director Choi interrupted. For 2 years you knew human children were being taken. And you did nothing. We were not informed of the full scope. You're lying. The accusation hung in the air like a physical thing. Director Choi, Ambassador Veltar tried again. Surely we can reach some kind of agreement. Here's our agreement, Director Choi said. Every human child is returned within 24 hours. Every facility that held them is destroyed. Every official who authorized their capture is turned over to us for judgment. And the Velthari Empire ceases to exist. That's impossible. You can't destroy an entire civilization. Watch us. The transmission ended. In the docking bay, Captain Park turned to address the families. I know you want to take your children home, she said. But there are hundreds more still out there. What are you asking? Daeho said, still holding Taejin and Hyewan. I'm asking if you want to help us get them back. The answer came from every parent at once. Yes. Then here's what we're going to do, Captain Park said. The children stay on this ship where they're safe. The parents join the combat teams. We're going to visit every one of those 17 facilities. I'm not a soldier, said So Young, the woman from the agricultural colony. Neither am I, said another parent. I'm a teacher. Captain Park looked around the group. Today you're all soldiers. Today we're all soldiers, because there are still human children in cages and that's not acceptable. Over the next 18 hours, the human fleet split into 17 task forces. Each group consisted of military vessels supported by converted civilian ships manned by parents, teachers, engineers, and farmers who had never held weapons before. But something remarkable happened as the task forces approached their targets. The civilian volunteers fought with skill that amazed even the professional soldiers. They anticipated tactics they had never learned. They coordinated attacks they had never practiced. It's like they're all connected. One military commander reported to Captain Park, the mining engineers are fighting like they've trained with elite forces their entire lives. Maybe they have, Captain Park replied, watching her tactical displays. Maybe we all have. Maybe this is what humans become when our children are threatened. The 17 facilities fell within 6 hours. 432 human children were rescued, and the galaxy learned something that would be written in their history books for thousands of years. Never, ever threaten human children. The Velthari Empire requested surrender terms 3 days later, but by then, there was no human defense coalition left to negotiate with. There was only a species that had discovered its true nature when pushed too far. The terms were simple: complete dissolution of the Velthari government, relocation of all Velthari citizens to reservation worlds under human supervision, and the establishment of new galactic law that made threatening human children an act punishable by species extinction. The Galactic Commerce Union ratified the terms unanimously. No one wanted to be next. 6 months later, Daeho Kim stood in his garden on Kepler 442b, watching Taejin and Hyewan play with their friends. The children laughed and ran between the crystal formations, their voices carrying across the peaceful valley. Above them, human patrol ships maintained constant watch. Every human world now had permanent defense fleets. Every human child wore a tracking beacon that could summon help from across the galaxy. But the most important change wasn't in the technology or the military, was in the knowledge that spread through every human settlement, every ship, every station. When you threaten one human child, you threaten them all, and humanity protects its own. Dad? Taejin called from where he was collecting crystals. The pretty purple one is back. Daeho smiled and walked over to see. In his son's small hands was a perfect crystal, the same type he had found on that terrible morning when everything changed. Can I keep this one? Taejin asked. Of course, Daeho said, ruffling his boy's hair. You can keep anything you want, because some things were more important than mining quotas or trade agreements or diplomatic relations. Some things were worth fighting the entire galaxy to protect, and every species in the known universe now understood that human children were exactly that important to humanity. These crystal caught the light of Kepler 442b's sun and sparkled like a promise. Never again would human children disappear into the darkness between stars. Never again would human parents have to cross the galaxy to bring their babies home. The children were safe, and they always would be.